Hey, welcome to the channel. We hope that you enjoy today's stories and check out the chapters on the video to see all the stories for today. But before we get into this video, subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon to get notified when we release a new video. So let's get into the video.
What's the worst thing you have done for money?
Experience 1. When I was a kid, I had a paper route. In one of the houses on the route, the guy always offered me big tips, well 1980s big money if you're a teen, to model for him. I realize now this was sketchy as hell, but we were poor, and it was just pictures, yes, those kinds of pictures. The ironic part, this was right around the time that the Different Strokes Bike Shop episode aired, and I was like, this is so not the same. It was very much the same. I knew it was wrong, but liked having things I couldn't own otherwise. The guy died of a heart attack when I was in high school. I never told my mom about it. Experience 2. Not me, but a guy I know. He went out with friends for a pizza and forgot his wallet at home. The pizzeria put a bottle of olive oil on the table, and he bet to drink all of it if the others paid for his pizza. He crapped himself half an hour later. Experience 3. There was a thing in the early 2000s when Craigslist was still novel. Older people paid young people to do nude housework. I was a culinary school and broke. Fellow female students were making enviable money. Predictably, I did a couple of jobs, and it was fine. Until the job where it wasn't. It all turned out fine. For me. That said, I wonder how often things turn south for others. Experience 4. To feed my gambling addiction, stole from all my immediate family members, church collection, people's jackets / purses / wallets hung up at the back of the church, stole from a teacher's purse. Part of my recovery involved telling those I stole from what I had done. Some were the hardest but most rewarding things. Experience 5. Receive experimental treatments and vaccines in clinical trials while I was a university student, including for a respiratory virus 4 to 5 years ago, prior to the pandemic. I've never had COVID though, despite working on the COVID ward, so maybe I receive free cross-immunity from it. Experience 6. I worked as an eviction specialist for a property management company. I put families out on the street. I was assisting the county constable with eviction at a property, and the little boy, man of the house because dad was in prison, asked me how I could do this to his mom and baby sister. I broke down in tears because I didn't have a good answer. What was I going to say? I'm in it for the money. I quit that day, with no notice, no warning. I'm sorry, little man, I hope you're okay. Experience 7. Worked at a hog farm. Not only are hogs a royal pain in the ass to work with, but the dust they give off gets in your lungs and makes you feel like a heavy smoker after a 4-hour shift. Experience 8. Was driving for a ride-sharing app and had a ridiculously drunk and very attractive dude offer me $200 if he could suck my D. So yeah. That's actually probably not even close to the worst. Experience 9. Joined the military. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed my career. But that was, by far, the worst thing I've done for money. 0/10 do not recommend. Experience 10. I was on active duty in an Air Guard unit. 91 to 97. Trained Cold War, crew chief, 45750, very serious, even has security clearance. Suddenly the first enlistment is nulled. I am left hanging half obligated, ready to just go Air Force, talked out of it, to only get worse. Slight delay, they said. That turned into 18 months. I got delayed from Gulf War wartime, my whole purpose for enlisting, as the 1991 enlistment was suddenly nothing, after already working with trainers and what turned out to be a very poisoned aircraft. They still lied after people dropped dead, the budget collapsed due to the Cold War ending, and no bonus. Wartime non-existent after manhandling Gulf shitters to the point of very mysterious problems. We did not know what Gulf War syndrome was at that time, we just kept working with no heads up. I was disabled for life in 1997. 100% line of duty. In 3 different ways. I am 40 pounds under, my guts went all the way to sepsis. The unit was so far out of touch, I was on SSDI while still enlisted. Death imminent rules. No explanation is needed. I was even in the wrong hospital for 6 weeks. By the time the morons caught up to my incapacitation, they gave me a no time lost record of 6 years 5 months 21 days, because they deleted my 1991 time frame. No orders added up to VA help at all. 13 piles of missions. Many orders in each. 2 decades later, I decided to get a veteran plate, and I get this 3-digit rarity and no explanation. It is like someone walked away with my real life. I even learned the exact awards missing. My beginning was $560 a month. I made more as a paper boy when I was 13 years old. Experience 11. Forced to flirt and pretend to like my line manager. She would screw up my relationship with direct reports, clients, and partners on the account if she got the hint that I wasn't into her. Didn't do it for money but to keep the peace and try for a promotion at the firm. After all is said and done, I don't even care about the promotion and looking for a new job now. I am a dude. I have even more sympathy for women in the workforce who have faced issues similar to this for centuries. Experience 12. Knew a guy who in high school would give girls oral for money. Word got around that he was pretty good at it, and he ended up making quite a bit. Then word got out that he never said no and did it to some of the unpopular girls. It ended as quickly as it started.
Do you like listening to these stories? Do you want to hear more of them? Then click that like button, subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. And check the description for links to more videos and interesting stories.
Experience 13. I asked a guy in school to eat an egg raw once for $1. When he got home, he sent me a video of him actually eating the raw egg. The next day at school I gave him his hard-earned $1. He was a cool dude. I ate grasshoppers with him, cooked. Experience 14. Donate blood and plasma. I was actually a little nervous my first time doing it, but I actually enjoy it now. As long as you drink plenty of water, the process goes very smoothly. I do it twice a week, the limit you're allowed, and you do get paid for each session. Experience 15. Turkey plucking. We were on short time and it looked like Christmas would be cancelled. Start at 5 a.m. on a Sunday in an unheated barn, grab a bird, take it into the killing room and wring its neck. Hang it up by the feet and pluck it while it's still warm, the feathers set if you let it get cold. Then repeat. For 8 hours. Did it for 6 weeks and my family got their Christmas. Experience 16. Almost 9 years ago around this time of the year, my brother, who lived in the next city over, had called me to tell me he owed his plug $18,000. He was scared the dude was going to whack him if he didn't come up with at least a bit of it. At that time in my life, I was trying to get out of the streets, was in my first semester of a community college and working my ass off at a dead-end job, but it was legal money. I withdrew from my classes, quit my job, and moved in with my brother. We robbed almost every non-connected dealer in that city over the span of a few weeks. Got the $18,000 and everything was good on his part, but I had hurt a lot of people and destroyed my first attempt at going straight in the process. Experience 17. Not my story, but still, I was in rehab with a friend who was addicted to heroin. The guy looks like a movie star. Legitimately handsome, so deep in the depths of his addiction, he would get offers consistently from elderly gay men to do sexual stuff to him, and one day, when he could find no other way to make money to get his fix, finally let an elderly man fellate him for $50. He later chose to rob a gas station, which ended him up in jail and then rehab. Guess he didn't want to go the old man route anymore. Experience 18. Called out my brother to the IRS. So, for those unaware, there's a claim the IRS offers called the whistleblower claim. They'll give you 15 to 30% of the money collected that the person owes. To give a brief history, my brother has not been the most stand-up brother. He's gone beyond a sibling skirmish. He's taken quite a bit of my money, and our parents' money, and valuables to go buy substances, and has refused to pay any of us back. With this track record, he's had his share of problems with the law, so he looks for jobs that pay cash to avoid taxes because he doesn't think he should have to pay them. So, one day, I was flat out broke. I asked him for some of the money he has stolen over the years, and he said no. I said, okay. Well, tax season was rolling around and I filed my taxes, so I wasn't flat broke once that check hit, but I still felt some type of way, and I said, you know what? I'll get my money from him. I reported him to the IRS. The man owed well over $10,000. I got some good money off that. He still doesn't know it was me. Experience 19. Every weekday, I give up 1/3 of my day to be somewhere I don't want to be. But it gets worse than that. The other 1/3 of the day I spend making sure I've gotten enough sleep, have enough and the correct clothes, and prepare mentally for the first 1/3 of the day. The remaining 1/3 I spend either sleeping or stressed that I'm not getting enough sleep for the first 1/3 of my day. On weekends, I'm sometimes celebrating not having to do what I do for the 1/3 of my day on weekdays, but I'm largely thinking about how I don't have to do the 1/3 or how I'm going to have to start as soon as the weekdays begin again. I occasionally get holidays and vacations away from the 1/3 of my weekday, which helps me cope with that 1/3 and gives me just enough energy and motivation to go back to the January 3rd. I hope to eventually be able to retire, at which point I will probably discuss the 1/3 and be grateful that I was able to waste away 9/10 of my life for the opportunity to hopefully not be homeless. Once in a while, my boss brings in bagels. Experience 20. I mean, it wasn't that bad, it was good money, but I worked for a company that was a temp service for construction workers. I was the salesperson that tried to find jobs for these workers. Every time I would get a new customer, or an old customer decided they needed some workers, the people I sent there to those jobs rarely worked out, quit, fought at the job, got kicked off the site, didn't show up, we were late all the time, etc., etc., etc. I lost a client that had been a client of the route I was assigned for about a decade because everyone I sent there basically got kicked off. It felt like I was basically selling vacuums to people that I knew didn't work. It was absolutely horrible. Most guys were just horrible workers or people, felons, people that's whole paychecks just went to pay for multiple children's support, just out of jail, etc., etc., etc. A couple of the guys were great, but man, it was such a horrible experience. It got to the point where it was hard telling people that my guys would do a great job for them or do the job they needed them to do because I knew they wouldn't even show up or quit within a short amount of time. My boss, who was supposed to find these workers, just hung out in his office and played games on his phone or computer and complained all day about how busy he was. It was a joke. He did say it was uncanny how bad of an experience I had there with workers who never went to jobs or got kicked off, etc. It was always the first time this person didn't work or didn't go to the job. Stuff like that was a nightmare. Right after I had a kid too.
We hope you enjoyed listening to today's stories. If you want to see more stories, check out these videos or check the links in the description for more videos. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And ring that notification bell.